All right, we're freaking live. What is up? What is up? Ray, what's going on, man? You say Dr. Pepper check, snacks check, pen and paper to write down a new order. My wife's gonna kill me over check. Showtime. What is up? How are you guys doing tonight? If you're new here, which you're probably not, my name is Tyler. This channel is Hook Sets Are Free. Hope you guys are having a great night. I'm gonna crack open a little bit of bourbon tonight. This is a special bourbon my brother gave me for my birthday. This is a Henry McKenna, single barrel, 10-year bourbon. Riley, what's going on, dude? All is well here. It is hump day, am I right? I've been up in the mountains like every weekend, nonstop recently. Going up this weekend with some buddies of mine, so pumped about that. Let me quickly hop on Instagram just to grab a couple more people before we open this package and hang out for a little bit. Can you guys hear me all right, by the way? Or am I hollering? Am I a little bit too loud? Yeah, man, it should be a really fun time. Little boys' weekend. Going up with one of my best buddies, my brother, and two of his best friends. So it's kind of half of our normal poker group. So cheers, guys. Ray, you're half deaf? Is that for real? I did not know that. And I'm sorry to hear that. Glad to know that it's fine, though. Riley, can you hear me all right? Oh, yeah, it's tasty. What up, Payson? What's up, Mason? I figured as much, Ray. I'm really sorry to hear that, man. Small price. Come on. You're way too humble for your service. What's up, everybody on Instagram? What's up, Beacho, Ben Morgan, Cup Lease, Patriot, J God? Gonna do a little unboxing tonight. I've got a Tackle Warehouse package. I don't usually buy very much from Tackle Warehouse. Haven't, at least this year, since being partnered with Discount Tackle. But there are some things that the Tackle Warehouse carries that are not necessarily on Discount Tackle. OG Rodfather wants to hop in here. Why not? So, as usual, if you guys haven't noticed by now, pretty much all of my orders from... What's up? How are you doing tonight, man?
Excellent, man. Excellent. Right. Hold on, let me get my hat, dude. I look hit without a hat on. Where's my tube mob? It's probably outside. All right, we'll go with the St. Louis hat. How's that? What's up, man? Sorry about that.
No worries.
All right, let me switch my camera. There we go.
What are you up to?
What's going on, man?
Oh,
no, just watching Point Break.
That's what's up.
Love good movies almost as much as I love good fishing.
Absolutely.
So who's going to the Fred Hall show?
Not me. Who here?
Not me.
Who on Instagram or on YouTube? There's 15 of you guys. Who's going to the Fred Hall show?
Not me. The reason why I'm not going is I don't feel personally, just this is my personal preference, this is just me, it doesn't have nothing to do with no one else.
Yeah.
I feel they have more salt stuff. That's more like they do have bass stuff. Don't get me wrong, they have bass booths and tables and stuff everywhere.
Sure.
But my thing is, if I want to spend $35 plus gas from where I live to Long Beach, which is in California, I live in California. I'm from SoCal myself.
Sure.
I'd rather go to the lake and fish, man.
I hear you. 1000%.
You know I did the Fred Hall show. I loved it. I had a great time. I did it 2017 was my first time.
Mm-hmm.
And after going once, I'm like, I'm a fisherman, but I'm not that kind of fisherman. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to disrespect anybody. If anyone takes that disrespectful, please don't.
No.
It's just me personally. I don't know. I don't mean to just straight hijack and take over your live feed, bro.
No, it's not a hijacking. I think it's a reasonable point to make. A lot of those fishing shows these days, aside from, say, the Bassmaster Classic or iCast, which are a bit bigger and more special, I think a lot of the local shows, they're more networking opportunities than anything else, right? Otherwise, you're going to go blow money on a lot of no-name tackle companies, and you might have a good time. You might meet some new friends, but I don't find a lot of value in it unless you're trying to raise awareness around your own brand, right? I mean, that's I think the biggest thing that most people get out of it is if you're a business owner trying to get to know people, trying to raise awareness and build more of a following and sell stuff, then it's a great opportunity. But to go, maybe not so much. So I think you got to pick and choose when it comes to shows for sure. But I'd love to go to the Bassmaster Classic or iCast just because those are two times where new products are being put out every year. And I think that's actually kind of cool to get a first look and maybe even be able to buy some of that stuff firsthand. Whereas, the rest of us are sitting, waiting, watching videos to see what's new, what's hot, what gets released on Tackle Warehouse and other places. And we're like trying to get the early jump on it, right? Like last year, the Thunder Cricket came out this week. And, little things like that, the lures from a band of anglers, Patrick Sabile's companies were all released at the Bassmaster Classic last year. So I like that kind of stuff myself. So let's dive in real quick and open this package. We're 7 minutes in, and I don't want to keep people waiting too much. Yeah,
dip out.
I'm gonna boot you out. What's your name again? I've asked you before.
OG Rodfather.
I know that. What's your real name, dude?
Oh, Nate.
Nate?
Sorry about that, Nathan, yeah.
All right. Well, pleasure to meet you, man. My name's Tyler.
No worries, Tyler. Sorry, I'm just like chilling in my room. I usually am like down in my fishing area.
It's all good.
So I don't have like anything fishing in the background. I usually have poles and line and all kinds of stuff. Kind of like yours, but not as tricky. Dude, those are some nice lures right here, right? I want to say. Those ones right there on the wall, hanging on the pegboard. Lower. Those ones right there. Bam.
Yeah, dude.
What are those?
So those are some swim baits that I got pre-rigged. I got Kitech Swinging Pack Fat. I've got a Megabass Spark Shad, 5-inch and 7-inch Megabass Mag Draft, 6-inch and Optimum Boom Boom, and what is that? The Beast Coast 6.5 in the Creep. So those are ones that I have at the ready to take with me.
Unboxing, man. We'll see you, Tyler.
All right. Good hanging out with you, Nathan. Talk to you later, man.
All right, man.
Peace.
PM me.
I booted him out. I killed the live feed. Let's see if people jump back in here. I really ought to focus more on YouTube and not Instagram. Feel bad for you homies over there. Ray, what are you saying? Wanted to mention it took 5 months since you saw my video on what? Finally got the Rage Ned bug. Oh, sick, dude. I saw that comment today. I haven't had a chance to respond to it. But, yeah, the 6-inch cutter worms are legit. No joking around. I don't care whether you live in Florida or not. Sorry about that, homies, on Instagram. That's my bad for killing the live feed after booting Nate out. But Ray over here on YouTube saying he just recently got the 6-inch cutter worm from Strike King. in addition to some other baits. But you know, the swimming worm is a sleeper of a bait, straight up. I throw both the Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Worm and the Strike King Rage Tail Cutter Worm. Both are big time fish catchers. So I've kind of gone away from ribbon tail worms and just started throwing swimming worms. I think it's got more of a natural, subtle action that is more applicable in a lot of different scenarios. You never used to comment back then. That's why I saw it today. No worries. Simon, what's up? Well, I appreciate you commenting today, Ray, and just being as engaged as you are. So anyway, without any further ado, let me show you what I got from Tackle Warehouse. Came in the mail. I also made a side order from Discount Tackle that I thought was going to be here by now, and it's somewhat similar. So it's too bad I can't show you both at the same time. But let me see if I can show you guys. Does that show up backwards for you guys, or can you actually read that? Wayne, what's up, dude? How are you guys doing tonight? To all 10 of you watching it on YouTube, if you haven't already, which 7 of you haven't, hit that thumbs up for me and leave a comment. Let me know who you are and that you're hanging out tonight. Love to get the chat going a little bit more this evening. So, of course, you spend $50, you get a sticker from Tackle Warehouse. Got about 100 of those. Wayne, do you like Discount Tackle? Of course I do, man. In fact, I'm a brand ambassador for them, and they've got great service, very fast shipping. They're kind of like a conglomerate of a few different companies. So what's interesting is if you order from them, you might get a package from Pro Tackle Solutions or from Meta Commerce or from Discount Tackle. They're a combination of a few different companies, but discounttackle.com is the website that you can get the very best deals out of all of them. Pro Tackle Solutions is pretty good, but Discount Tackle, you can get 20% on so many different products. Jeremy Bassman Miller, what's up, dude? Lawson V, what's up? Sasser, you followed my advice from the Ned Rig live stream. You picked up the Ocho right on. Slatem in Maryland. Nice. Great to hear. That Ned Ocho is doing well for you. Man, it's a pretty sweet bait. I actually really like it. Think it built well. Hank Stamper, what's going on? Kickstart DC. Wayne, yeah, you got to try Discount Tackle. I was placing orders with them pretty much once a month last year before I reached out to their customer service about some Z-Man baits that were twisted up, some swim baits that I ordered that came a little funky looking. So I reached out and they fixed that really quickly, and then also asked me if I'd be interested in a brand ambassador program that they were just starting up. So that's actually how it came to be. So yeah, I think their service is great, and the deals are even better. That's why I used to buy all of my Z-Man stuff there exclusively. They've kind of evolved over time which products they offer at 20% and what their base retail prices are, because Tackle Warehouse isn't selling all of their stuff for 20 or for retail prices. A lot of their stuff is a little bit cheaper than what you'd see elsewhere. So they are offering stuff a little discounted even when they're not doing sales. So you got to keep that in mind. And there's some things on Discount Tackle that are super worth buying, and I've helped them adjust some of their prices on products that they weren't as competitive with, specifically like Strike King Rage Tail products and Spro stuff. So as of now, you know, Z-Man, Kitech, Strike King, pretty much best you can get anywhere. And those are my 3 favorite overall brands when it comes to soft plastics, and kind of in general. So anyway, let's get into this package. going to start with the 6 Sense Divine Swimbait jig heads. These are the big boys, specifically in the 8/0 and 1 ounce size. So these are giant and mad heavy. Look how long that hook is. So this is made to pair up with, say, this guy. This is the 6.8-inch Kitech Swing Impact Fat. Just imagine chopping off about half of the head there, and the hook is going to come almost to the end of the slot and be just about a perfect fit here. So I didn't have any jig heads to throw the Kitech on an exposed hook. All I've got are these 8/0 Owner Beast. I've got the 9/0 Trocar, and I've got this, I don't know if it's 9 or 11/0 BMC underspin. So I've got a number of weedless rigging options for the Kitech and for the Megabass Spark Shad in the 7-inch. Now this one does have eyes on it, so I'd prefer not to have to put a jig head on it, but let's just say I did. Probably take those eyes off. But anyway, this 8/0 hook is just about perfect for these 6 to 8-inch baits. So absolute beef status on this guy. The biggest that I had prior to that was the 5/0, I think 3/8 ounce, which really only fits the 5.8-inch. It works just fine, but anyway, Ray's saying, speaking of Discount Tackle, we got an email from them with all their new stuff in stock. Yeah, let's not spread the word too much on that, because I am trying to buy 1 or 2 things that I think will go quickly, and I still need to wait a couple days to place that order. So as I said, I just placed a side order, and I don't want to have to place another side order, because it can sometimes take a couple weeks to for them to get some stuff back in stock. And so I'm not even going to mention what it is that I'm waiting for them to get back in stock, because I don't want you guys stealing them. It's all right, Ray. You're good. Wayne says that swim bait is bigger than the fish you catch. That's funny. It is a big swim bait, but meant to target big fish. So specifically to go after 4, 5, 6 pounders that would be considered big fish around here. But believe it or not, 2 and 3 pounders will eat these monster baits. Yeah, I've got this 9-inch mag slough from Magdraft, or from Megabass, that I'm excited to throw. Can't keep up with this stuff on Instagram. Kickstart DC, what's up? Igor, what's up? All right, next bait, first bait really, is the Savage Gear Pull Tail Bluegill. And this is the RTF version, which I'm not sure was the right move to go with necessarily, but this is a smaller size. It's a 4-inch, weighs 1 1/4 ounces, and RTF, it says it's a moderate sink rate. So RTF stands for ready to fish, pre-rigged with an internal weighted hook molded into the bait. There is an LB version, which I forget what LB even stands for, but it is the weedless version, and it actually comes with a weedless hook that I didn't realize was the case. I thought maybe you had to buy a weedless hook and rig it up yourself. I was worried about hookup ratio as well, and I knew that this would work just fine. I do have the old Savage Gear Bluegill, which is a multi-joint. And here's what it looks like. So you can see it's got 2 joints, soft plastic. This is the same size bait, but you get a very different action out of that tail. Instead of the whole body wagging and it having more of an aggressive action, this is going to be more subtle and just be all tail. So this is something that you can work a little bit slower, and it's going to look a little bit more natural in the water column. So cool to have both of these together. This color, I think, is just called, it's called a ghost gill. So it's got a little bit of translucency to it where the other one doesn't. But beautiful color. So anyway, it weighs just over an ounce. I'm going to go ahead and just throw it straight in the box, not put it back in the package. And I am looking forward to putting that to use here around the spawn, and especially around the bluegill spawn. You know, I like these better than the live target sunfish. Got a couple of these guys, which are smaller, and the tail doesn't move nearly as easily. So I'm more excited about this pulse tail, 4D pulse tail bluegill. I've heard nothing but good things. Oh, wait a second. This has a rattle built into the head. Can't remember if that factored into my decision making or not, but that's actually pretty rad to know that that's the case. So anyway, again, I bought these on Tackle Warehouse, so none of these are discounted. You know, I paid something like $5 for the jig heads, something like $12 or $13 for the Swimbait. So not cheap, but definitely something that I was looking for. Let me tell you real quick. Yeah, $5 for the 2-pack of jig heads and $12.99 for that Swimbait. All right. Wayne, a 1-pounder is a PB where I fish. What? No places to fish around there. Where do you live, Wayne? And hell yeah, you drop that bluegill in a bed, and they ought to eat it, man. I love a bluegill pattern too. Mississippi, and you don't have more than 1-pounders? Come on. Luis, what's up, dude? How are you fishing? Are you a bank fisherman or a boat fisherman? Are you hitting ponds, lakes, reservoirs? What's your style, dude? All right, we're going to talk about accessories next. Nah, we'll go on to those after. So I got a few lipless crankbaits. These are all specialty lipless crankbaits, okay? I'm excited to have these in my arsenal, but I don't know exactly how proven any one of these is. This is the IMA Suspending Vibration in the Ghost IU color. So this is one of very few suspending lipless crankbaits. Jason Jackson, you're a pond fisherman. Good to know. I wasn't necessarily asking you, but I appreciate you jumping in and participating in the conversation. That's awesome. Wayne says, yeah, I just beat the banks. Only have a few small ponds to fish. And no, Ray, I don't have any 6 cents cranks in here. I have some 6 cents cranks, but none in the box this go around. So, pond fisherman, what's up? I fish a lot of ponds as well. Lipless cranks are not always conducive to pond fishing, but depending on the lure, certainly can be. And one like this, a suspending, sorry about that, Fabrizio. You know what, Fabrizio, I'm gonna bring you in here. He's requesting to go live. Let him hop in for a minute. Sorry, Ray. We could talk 6 cents cranks another time. But anyway, we're going to talk about 3 lipless cranks that I haven't tried yet. Fabrizio, what's up, man? It's pitch black where you are. Why can't I see you? Make yourself heard, homie. What, you just commenting? Why are you're in here live? I'm going to boot you out if you don't start talking, man. I can't see you. I can't hear you. Desde Argentina. Que bueno. Que parte. Junín. All right, tight. Yo fui a Junín una vez. En 2008. Buenos Aires. Okay. Entonces, this is Suspending Lipless Crankbait made by Ima Lures. Okay, Ima is a Japanese brand. These hooks are super sticky. I'm not sure if these are owner stingers, like tend to come on a lot of their baits. The Suspending jerkbait of theirs, which is slipping my mind at the moment. Fabrizio is getting the best of me right now. Man, I studied abroad in Argentina in 2008 in the fall, so pretty wild. Ray says, for the record, I'm a bigger fan of 6 cents than Will Perriman is. Where's Will Perriman right now? That dude's not in here. 6 cents is super legit. I will say that. I'm a big fan of theirs. I think they're constantly putting out good product. I feel a little bit mixed about the fact that all of their stuff is produced overseas, but I think their design, color schemes, and yeah, I guess it comes down to design. They do a great job of giving their input and producing exactly what they want to. They're just trying to be cost effective, right? So everything's made in China, where I would prefer if they did it old school and made everything here domestically. So anyway, the Ima Suspending Vibration says that it is a 2.75 inch or 70 millimeter long lipless crank. That puts it in the mid-sized to larger category. It weighs just 3/8 of an ounce, and it suspends at 3 to 4 feet. It's got 2 size 4 hooks on it. But being a suspender, the only other one that I have in my box or that I'm aware of is the 6 cents Quake 80 suspending lipless crankbait. And I do have a couple of those, and am pumped to throw them. I just got them a couple months ago, so I actually don't know what I think of them yet. I've heard mixed things, but I was super excited to get them in the mail, and then somebody left a comment saying, oh, those are trash. I love 6 cents, but their suspending lipless crankbaits are not good. So anyway, Kate Stevens, what's up, dude? Jason Jackson. I am fishing these lures in lakes and reservoirs primarily, but I will throw them in ponds as well. And in the spring, dude. I mean, specifically in the spring. A lipless crankbait is hard to beat. Russ Dennis, what's up? San Luis Obispo. Right on, dude. How are you doing tonight? Hank Stamper, never heard of one of them. Which one? The Ima Suspending or the 6 cents? Suspending lipless crankbaits are not really a thing yet, and I'm not totally sure whether it's going to become more of a thing or if it's still a little bit rare. You know, most people would throw a suspending jerkbait this time of year and would either retrieve a lipless crankbait on a straight chuck and wind retrieve or on like a yo-yo retrieve. But there's something deadly about a stop and go where it's not totally going to fall, you know, where you can rip it and stop and it's going to stay in place instead of flutter down. So, you know, the Strike King Red Eye Shad and the Bill Lewis Rattle Trap are proven lipless crankbaits with standard rattles in them, right? Of course, then you could go with the Lucky Craft LV500. You could go with a one knocker style, like the Booyah one knocker, the Strike King Tungsten 2-tap, or the 6 Cents Quake Thud. There's a ton of really good lipless crankbaits on the market, but this time of year, in the spring, in the pre-spawn, is when the lipless crankbait excels. So, probably my my number one lure of choice during the pre-spawn, a red lipless crankbait. So next, I'll tell you real quick, the I'm a Suspending Vibration retails for $9.99. I was going to get a couple of them during the Black Friday sale and just pussed out. Or I guess it wasn't the Black Friday sale, but rather the 25 Days of Christmas. They had them on sale for $8.99, $7.99. And I had a couple of them in my cart and just never got them. The other one that I had was the Savage Gear. I forget what they call it, but they've got a soft plastic lipless crankbait, which is a super wild idea. I did not get any of those this time around. Next up, this is the Backstabber Lures lipless crankbait. Backstabber is a subsidiary company of Trophy Technology, who owns Castaic Lures and Katana Hooks. So Backstabber Lures is known for, check this out, where you'd normally see the hook coming off the belly, this lure has a hook coming off the back. So the line ties up top, and there's a hook hanging off the back. And of course, one in the back of the belly. So this is apparently supposed to come through cover a bit better than the traditional lipless crankbait. Would allow you to fish it in a little bit heavier grass, a little bit down deeper, without fouling up nearly as frequently. So this is the Backstabber Lures lipless crankbait. It's a 1/2 ounce model. Not sure if there's anything else to know about it. There's no bottom hook to hang up because it's been moved to the top of the lure for better hooking power. So I don't lose a lot of lipless crankbaits to hanging it up in rocks or snagging it on wood. But the one thing that I do think about is the fact that a lot of fish tend to wolf a lipless crankbait, right? And when they take the whole thing and you set the hook, you're setting the hook in the bottom of their mouth, oftentimes in the tongue or in the gills, depending on how deep they take it. And with the hook on top here, it actually opens up the possibility for you to hook them straight in the roof, which I think is pretty cool deal. So not sure how well you can see the internals of this bait, but I did get this color specifically so I could get to know the internals better. Looks like you've got 2 fat steel or tungsten balls in the lower portion. There's a divider in the half. Looks like one is slightly bigger than the other. Got some BBs up front where the weight is that don't go anywhere, and then some small BBs up top. Maybe 4 or 5. So good sound there. Very classic lipless crankbait sound. It's got a good profile, sticky, sharp hooks. This is like a ghost minnow type of color. Not sure what they call it. Let's see if it says here. Yeah, ghost stabber. So anyway, I'll put these in my box later. Last lipless crankbait that I got. Wayne, thank you for subscribing. Ray, you know nothing of fishing lipless cranks, but you can see where typical red-eye shad has a more appealing profile. Yeah, you know, their lipless crankbaits are pretty standard in profile, but action and sound are really what it comes down to. So they all are built a little bit differently internally. So yeah, the red eye shad is probably still the most common bait that I throw. And I've shown you guys before what the inside of a red eye shad looks like, you know, on my Instagram page. I don't know if the lighting's good enough for you to be able to see inside this bait right now, but there is a divider right there. Up top in this upper section is 3 small BBs, and in the middle of the bait are another 6 small BBs. All small steel BBs inside a red eye shad. You get that high pitch rattle. Okay. The red eye shad was on sale for freaking $3 a lure last year during the spring classic sale at Cabela's and Bass Pro. So I stocked up and bought a ton of them. The Rapala Rip and Wrap has a pretty similar but slightly higher pitch sound to it. The Bill Lewis Rattle Trap likewise sounds somewhat similar. Golly, I need to put hook hangers on this one. Look at this color. Tactical Bassin would absolutely dig this color. The Rattle Trap does not have any dividers other than holding the 2 or 3 balls that weight it down and give it a little bit of a deeper knock in the front of the bait, but it's got probably 20 steel balls inside. So you get a little bit louder of a sound out of the Bill Lewis Rattle Trap, and you get better stock hooks with those Mustad triple grips. Now, all 3 of those baits are pretty similar in terms of weight and fall, but something like the Cotton Cordell Super Spot has a quieter sound and a lighter weight, more subtle fall to it. So it's going to fish just a little bit differently. One that you want to fish over beds of grass, not necessarily ripping it out. More on a straight chuck and wind retrieve. Now listen to the, show you 3 styles of one knocker lipless baits. Here's the 6 Sense Quake Thud. This is in the 70 size. Ditch Donkeys, what's up? Surge Saffron, what's up? So again, get kind of a quieter knocking noise. Here's the Strike King Tungsten 2-tap. Get more of a tinny sound there. And then here's the classic Booyah one knocker, the old Excalibur mold. You get a little bit lower of a sound there than the Tungsten 2-tap. So you get 3 different sounds there for the one knocker. All good baits for sure. All built well. Slightly different body profiles, which is going to change the vibration in the water. Sound, I think, is just a little bit more of a factor than vibration when it comes to a lipless. Anyway, last lipless crankbait that I got in this package. Ray, you said the thuds, that is. I'm not sure what you're saying. That the red eye shad has a a smaller, more appealing profile than the Quake Thud. Might be true. The Thud has a fatter, more tapered top to the body, and they put gigantic hooks stock on the Quake lipless crankbait. So I will say that is a thing from 6 Cents, is that they put very large hooks on it, but I'm not necessarily opposed to that. So last bait here. Sorry, I just pulled it out of the box. This one is unique. The last two have been unique, but this one is the Jenko Trapline Rip Knocker. So I think the Trapline comes in 2 versions, but this is more of a one knocker style. If you can see inside, you'll notice there are only BBs up in the very top section that can't work their way down into the middle. Okay? But there is a knocker in the front of the bait. So this is a one knocker style bait, but what you notice is it's bare, right? And that's because this is a line through lipless crankbait. So another wild design here. Let's see if I can get this treble hook out of here. I have no idea what kind of treble hook they put stock in the package, but in a little bag like this, it's almost impossible to get out, which is annoying. So I'm just destroying this bag to get it off. This looks to be a relatively big hook, and it's just going to come with one treble hook there. So hangs on bottom. You've got a line tie that goes through the top and out the bottom, and then you tie on your hook to the split ring here, and it dangles below. So cool thing about this design is once the fish takes the bait, whoop, you get that separation. And so the fish no longer has leverage to throw the bait. I wonder, I don't think it's one of these, but one of the others that I ordered from Discount Tackle. I think it's like the Spro Aruku shad, not the Ima, that has rotating hook hangers. So that is something that I'm really excited to try out as well, is a lipless crankbait with rotating hook hangers, because that is something that happens, and a problem with lipless crankbaits is that you lose a lot of fish, and because the fish end up fighting, jumping, and if you don't horse them in, you have to play that right in between horsing them and understanding that it's the treble hook bait. You got to get them in as quickly as possible without letting them pop off. So they have a tendency to spit the bait, especially at the last second, and the bait come flying back at you. So Justin, this bait is called the Jenko Rip Knocker Trapline Rip Knocker, I think. Yeah, so it's the Jenko Trapline, and this is a VMC treble hook. So I will probably trust it well enough, but given this size, I might have an owner ST36 about this size. This looks to be about a size 1 hook. Size 2 or 1. Not quite a 1/0. Anyway, this is a transparent goldish bait, but look, when I twist it in the light, it's got a lot of flash to it. So actually pretty sweet there. Again, this is the Jenko Trapline Rip Knocker. So I'm excited to add another one knocker to my arsenal. And that is it. I got those 3 lipless crankbaits. Got the Savage Gear Bluegill. Got those jig heads. And then I got 3 more things of terminal tackle, which let's talk about for a few minutes. This one you've seen in the last couple of videos that I've made. Ray, not saying it's the case just in my box. You have them all. Seems so much bigger. You've never caught a bass on a lipless, but you have all of those lipless crankbaits. Just didn't want your bias for 6 cents to outweigh the facts. Yeah, and I wish I could speak to the Quake. I've only heard that the Quake is legit, but I agree. They're bigger. They take up a lot of room in the box, and the hooks are oversized on them. But I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. Wayne, that flash is insane. What's up, Kai David? Appreciate you. That's nice of you to say. You've been following along on Instagram or what? Why don't you hop on over to YouTube and give me a sub? Fabrizio, thank you very much. So this right here is the Queen Tackle Switchblade. This is how you make your own chatterbait. Turn kind of any lure into a chatterbait. So really gets the wheels turning in my head about what to use. Obviously, the most logical thing would be to put it on a swim jig. But like last time, Will Perriman suggested putting it on a freaking double hook, double frog hook with a toad. I was also thinking you could put it on a spinnerbait, which would be wild. That's all right, Kai. I'd appreciate it though if whenever you do sign in, that you might subscribe to my channel. I'm streaming live on both platforms right now, and I do post on YouTube. Haven't been posting as frequently since breaking my back 5 months ago, but got a lot of content coming up soon, especially on more beginner stuff about how to properly spool up reels, how to tie some of the best knots for different applications, top lures for different applications, and times of the year. So anyway, keep on the lookout for that. So this is the gold blade, the regular size of the Queen Tackle Switchblade. I haven't got the large size yet, but now I have the regular size in all 3 colors. They've got a silver, like a black, and this gold. And so throw this on a bluegill swim jig, your favorite bluegill swim jig, like say the I've got one from Dirty Jigs that would be a good example. So how about the Dirty Jigs California swim jig? Got a stout hook on that guy. Beautiful looking skirt. Nice head detail. Throw a little gold blade on that puppy, and you've got one of the best chatterbaits you could imagine. So I really like the idea of being able to customize any lure. Take a football jig, flipping jig, a wobble head, spinnerbait, and turn it into a chatterbait. So honestly, Queen Tackle Switchblade is a game changer. And I don't use that term all that frequently. Okay, next accessory, which I think is also a little bit of a game changer. These are by Zappu, and these have been out a few years. Colin! What up, dude? Is it Colin? I'm pretty sure it is. CGAZ Outdoors. Tell me it's Colin. I'm not going to call you Chris this time. My man. All right, guys. So as you can see, Zappu, all this writing is in Japanese. This is a JDM lure company. You don't see a lot of their stuff out. Chris from Indie Fishing on Instagram, definitely, he works with them, posts a lot about their stuff. And these right here, these are called the Zappu Pera R, which is I have no idea what that name means, but check this out. Very hard for you to see, but I'm going to give you a little up close on each platform. There's a screw lock a bead, and a blade. Okay? This essentially lets you turn any soft plastic into a spy bait or spin bait. So the main idea that I had, and let me grab this for you real quick. All right. This bait right here is super unique. This is a soft plastic popper, okay? Made by Z-Man. Elastec material. Now what I'm going to do is chop off the tail and screw in this Pera R, okay? So bear with me. We're going to have a spy bait style tail on the end here. That spins well. And then I'm also going to put a spin blade, one of the TRD spins. Let's see if I got them handy right here. I showed these to you last week. TRD spins. Got these in both styles. And I can't remember exactly which style it is, but there's a popper called the Binksy, which I think is made by Jackal. Yeah, Colin. Zappu Pera R. P-E-R-A space R. And the Jackal Binksy, I'm pretty sure it's Jackal, but the Binksy is a popper with two blades. It's got a spinner coming off the bottom and a spinner coming off the back and a popper on the front. It is a very high-end popper, and I had the idea to make my own. So this soft plastic popper by Z-Man, it's called the Pop Shads. Comes in a 4-inch and a 5-inch. This is the bigger 5-inch size, which actually is pretty huge. But this guy allows you to customize the bait, and thought I might mess around a little bit. So Justin, did you leave that comment on Instagram and I missed it? Uni knot or Palomar knot? It depends, but I go with the Palomar vast majority of the time. Jason Jackson. Jerry says that looks like a bluegill. This guy? Jason says, so in March, what would be the best lure to fish as temperatures change? Where did you say you live again, Jason? Because that totally depends on the part of the country that you're in. No, the jig I had. Oh, yeah. That was the Dirty Jigs California swim jig in the bluegill color. You throw a little gold blade on that, and it is one of the best bluegill chatterbait combos you could make. So that is part of why I got those gold blades. So anyway, that is the Zappu Pera R. Make your own spy bait, spin bait. Jeremy, what do you think of the Pop Shads? Seen mixed reviews. Couldn't quite tell you. I have not actually thrown it yet, but you can put a pretty heavy wire weedless hook like this Mustad triple grip or grip pin. This is, I think, a 5/0, maybe a 4/0, and it floats extremely well. So I think it's a unique lure. No matter what, I think it's going to do well, allow you to fish a popper in places that a standard popper could not go. So I will put a more official review out later in the year once I have a chance to throw it up in the nasties. But of course, you could still rig this line through and put a treble hook into the bottom and have this fish a little bit more like a standard popper. I just don't know how well it pops and walks, so I can't quite speak to that. Colin, how far are you from Colorado Springs? About 45 minutes north. My brother-in-law lives in Colorado Springs. I'm on the south side of the Denver metro area, a little town called Parker. So Jason Jackson on YouTube, where do you live? Because I can answer your question, but it depends on what March means for your water temps. Did you say Mississippi? No, that was Wayne. Riley says it works well with a popper frog. What does that mean, dude? What works well with a popper frog? Colin says his buddy just moved to the Springs. Be nice to plan a trip this summer. Absolutely. There's even some better fishing down by the Springs, southwest of the Springs, and south of the Springs down in Pueblo. That is really good stuff that I don't have a chance to go down and explore nearly as much as I wish I could. So love to meet up with you if you have a chance to go visit your buddy in the Springs. Riley, the chatterbait blade works well with a popper frog. Get out of here. Have you tried that before? I thought it was a little bit crazy putting the blade on the toad. So if you guys saw, I posted on Instagram today Will Perriman's idea of taking that buzz toad, the Stanley rivet, and putting the chatterbait blade on there. And the idea was that hook is weighted with like 1/8 of an ounce on the shank of the hook, and so it'll sink if you don't run it like a buzz bait, right? So my idea was to slow roll it slightly under the surface, 6 inches under, and that chatterbait blade will work for sure. But you're saying you can throw it on a popping frog and it actually engage the blade and work well? It almost doesn't register or make sense to me. But you say yes, and it gets hammered for spring bass or pre-spawn. Interesting. I had no idea. That blows my mind. But I might give that a go. I just can't imagine that the blade's actually going to get going. I feel like, though, working that on a Teckle Sprinker or Booyah Toad Runner could be a great idea. A frog that you might actually steadily reel as opposed to a popping frog you say works really well. It gets my brain going a little bit. Fritz, what's up? Justin, you're jumping over here. I see you're in both, man. What's the best lure or bait with the spawn coming up? Where do you live, Justin? Best lure with the spawn coming up. That's a freaking tough one. If you can throw a small swim bait or creature bait or craw that is highly visible and has an exposed hook, that's going to be the deal. And what you want to do is go around to ponds. Jason, you're in Illinois fishing ponds, so kind of applies to Justin. Jason, are your waters thawed out yet? Is, I guess, my question, because that will dictate what the best lure is to throw at this point. But Justin's suggesting that the spawn is coming up. So if that's the case, then I would throw something that you can throw right onto beds, that you just pitch onto beds. So, I've got a 1,000,001 baits that I'm looking forward to throwing this year. Something like the Nest Raider from River to Sea is super cool, very realistic looking creature style bait, and it has an exposed hook coming right off the top of it. But you could throw a lizard, you could throw a craw or creature bait. I really like the Reaction Innovations Man Bear Pig or the Spicy Beaver, Rage Tail Structure Bug, or the Guggen Baits Bandito Bug. Any of those will work really well. But if you've got a white colored bait or something really bright, that will allow you to see the bait that much better. So what you want to do is cruise the banks, look for beds that you can visibly see and see the bass that are protecting. They'll either be on the bed or slightly off. What you want to do is pitch your bait straight onto the bed and wait for them to come over and inspect it. It'll almost always take a little bit of time to get them worked up, but something that's highly visible will allow you to actually see what's going on. Bedding bass have a tendency to, they're not feeding, right? They're completely protected. So all they're going to do is come check it out and attack, try and scare whatever it is out of the area. So if you've got a persistent bait that's not going anywhere, what they're going to do is nip at it, pick it up, take it off the bed, and leave it. So it's actually pretty rare for them to wolf an entire bait. So to throw a big old swim bait onto the bed is not going to lead to a great hookup ratio, but to have an exposed jig head but realistic looking bait is something that they're more likely to attack and accidentally get the hook in their mouth. So anyway, Colin's saying jerk bait for me. Yeah, pre-spawn, cold water, jerk bait is the deal. That is what I will be throwing for the next month straight, is jerk baits. Golly, am I already running low on battery? It says I got 45 minutes. We'll see how this goes. Jerry says early in the year he likes the Ned rig. Works just about everywhere. That is a fact. Creature bait by Zoom is really good. The brush hog, you mean? Brush hog is a damn good bait. I like the baby brush hog just a little bit better than the brush hog itself. I like the 5 and the 6-inch lizard by Zoom as well. So Jason lives in Illinois, fishing ponds. You're saying your waters are half and half thawed out. Now is a good time of year to have a thermometer, so that when you get to the water, you can either tie it on and do it old one rod, one reel style and cast it out in the middle of the water, or you can just set it in the shallows up near the bank and get a read on the temperature. If the water is still high 30s or in the 40s, your best bet is to throw a suspending jerkbait. As you're nearing 50 degrees, I'd start throwing a lipless crankbait, start throwing a chatterbait, and I'd definitely be throwing more subtle action, tighter wobbling crankbaits. Depending on how shallow your water is, that's going to dictate what bait you're throwing. But if it's a little bit deeper and the fish are still transitioning shallow and it's true pre-spawn, I'd throw something like a shad wrap or a wigglewort even. And as they're getting more shallow, I'd move on to something like a Rapala DT6, eventually a DT4, and then a square bill crankbait. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, Dan the man. So start out with a white color for spawn. Generally speaking, yeah, white is going to be the easiest for you to see and the easiest for a bass to get irritated with. So typically speaking, yes, on beds, it's not about realism. It's not about tricking them into eating something, but rather tricking them into removing what you're putting on the bed and accidentally getting the hook. So a Ned rig is a great bait to throw on a bed. A Nico rig is a great bait to throw on a bed, along with, say, a wacky rig stick bait. So anyway, I would just stay away from a Texas rig, at least initially. You know, something that's going to be weedless is probably not your best bet right away. I had good luck last year throwing tubes on beds. Joey Ryder, the Hellgramites by Nico on a Ned head is a great bait. Yep, for sure. You live in Texas, Water don't get cold enough to worry about temperature. Yeah, man. Texas is a different beast, right? I mean, you guys don't even hit the time where you need to throw shad wraps and jerk baits for the sake of it. Now, you have cold fronts come in, and jerk baits will excel, but your water doesn't even dip below 40. I mean, probably mid 40s at coldest, right? So, what is your water in the 60s right now? You're about to hit the spawn, low 60s. Jerry and Jackson, you guys are leaving one-word comments. I don't even know what you're saying. Ray, are you still in here? Russ, you still in here? Those of you on YouTube, leave some comments. Let me know what's up. I got one more thing to talk about, and then we can open it up a little bit before topping this off. So, last thing in my package from Tackle Warehouse. These are the Swagger Tungsten. Swagger Tackle, Swagger Tungsten. These are the teardrop drop shot style weights. Okay. Yikes. I'm not trying to drop all these right now. Tungsten is not the cheapest, but it is the best. So, got these in the 3/16 ounce. At least to my knowledge, that's what these are. No, these are 1/4 ounce, which actually disappoints me. I watched a video today. It was posted today by Fish the Moment. I'm not sure if you guys follow that dude on YouTube, but he's super informative, pays a lot of attention to detail, and he filmed an underwater video of drop shot baits and how they act based on what weight you're using and what leader length and what bait you've got tied on. So there was a huge difference between a 3/16 and a 1/4 ounce weight, believe it or not. Dan the Man, what action and size rod do you use when using Ned rigs? So my Ned rig setup for this year, my rod is a 7-foot medium light St. Croix Triumph rod. It's a medium light fast action, and it's what I will use for the vast majority of my setups. I think it goes from 1/16 to 1/4 ounce, something like that. So I tend to throw lighter weight Ned rigs in general. I prefer a 1/16 ounce weight, but I will throw a 1/10 ounce or something like that if I have to, depending on if there's current or how deep the water is, or if I just don't want the bait to move much. But lighter is better when it comes to Ned rigs, and so you want a nice light power rod, still fast action. So anyway, what I want you to notice, not sure if you can see here, but this teardrop style drop shot weight has a line tie on it. Justin, you said that avoid Texas rigs, but do I rig a creature bait without a Texas rig? I'm confused. Guys, I'm 15 seconds away from timing out on Instagram. I'm going to restart this back up. If you guys want to jump back in, please do that. I will answer your question, Justin, about Texas rigs. Be right back. 73 unique viewers on Instagram. Anyway, Shiesty. Not trying to lose this weight. Just unbought it. Did this last week. All right, I see it. Ray said something about Johnny. Ray, got those lifted jigs Ned EWGs you mentioned. Right on. Those are the best in the game, dude. As well as those Rage Ned bugs and Baby Bug. Yeah, man, they definitely need a clamshell. Especially for the Baby Bug. That kind of bothers me. And it's going to lead me to put it in. I've got a little box here of finesse jig trailers. And I've tried to get away from using Flambeau and Plano boxes for soft plastics, but for some things I still use them. And I'm definitely, I've got the Baby Rage Menace. I've got the 2.8-inch Rage Swimmer, the Baby Rage Craw, 3-inch Pit Boss, the Tiny Brush Hog by Zoom, Kitech Crazy Flapper in the 2.8, and the 3-inch Spark Shad by Megabass. And that Baby Bug is going to have to work its way into this box just because I don't trust what the container does to these baits. Look at how they shuffle around so much, and all of the pinchers want to get twisted up. So when you pull it out of the package, I don't know, it just bugs me. I'm one of those people, I pay attention to the little details. So I'm not sure why Strike King corners on the clamshell for the Baby Bug. Now the Ned Bug is a little bit different, and I get why they didn't, but still would have preferred it as well. Riley says jigs and jerk baits are what we're getting hit on most down here in Louisiana. That's what's up. Yeah, jigs are underrated, right? And I don't throw a standard flipping, pitching, casting jig very often. Tend to throw a Texas rig more often than a jig, but I hear you. Jerk baits are the move this time of year, straight up. Ray, you say Johnny is a professor. Yes, he is. You're a part of his Patreon. Right on. You've done a lake breakdown with him too. That's really cool. Yeah, Johnny is a super knowledgeable guy. So anyway, he said that a 1/4 ounce weight makes a big difference, or showed us rather that a 3/16 ounce weight is kind of ideal for when you're working a drop shot, and the bait will stay up at its leader length and then slowly fall down depending on what the bait is. A floating lure will stay up there and keep its distance on the leader length, but a normal drop shot bait that has some salt in it will slowly fall down until you work it again, and then it will slowly fall until you work it again. A 3/16 ounce weight is perfect. A 1/4 ounce is where it starts to get a little funky, and the weight pulls on the bait. So as you work the bait, it can't get the full distance. It wants to. It has resistance from that weight on bottom, so it can't reach quite the distance of the leader length. It doesn't go as high up in the water column, which is interesting to note. And as you go heavier on the weight, it just magnifies that effect. So anyway, that is not what I'm here to talk about right now. Jason says, spinning reel or bait caster in March? Depends on the application completely, dude. You're in Illinois. You're half and half thawed. Depends on what you're throwing. If you're going finesse, you go spinning. If you're going jerk bait, you could go spinning. So I would throw a spinning reel, half the time. But when it comes to moving baits, like a lipless crankbait, chatterbait, swimbait, spinnerbait, I'm going to throw a bait caster. So maybe early on in March, right after ice out, I'd be throwing a spinning reel more frequently, because a lot of those lighter weight crankbaits, like the shad wraps, crankbaits that are 1/4 ounce, more or less, And a lot of jerk baits you're going to want to throw on spinning tackle just for castability more than anything. Ray says also joined Fish the Moment when Johnny was starting out. Now he's got 47,000 subs. I'm on the same verge of blowing up. Get out of here. I'm not going to quit. Appreciate you blasting my channel, man. Appreciate you. All right. Justin, are you still in here? I'm going to answer your question. Before I get into talking about why I bought these teardrop drop shot weights with a line tie on them. Anyway, Justin asked before I timed out on Instagram why can't throw or shouldn't throw a Texas rig first. What was your question exactly? You're saying, how am I going to throw a creature bait or a craw with an exposed hook? Is that your question? So, Noah, what's up, dude? Answer is it's pretty straightforward, and what you're going to do is take a slightly bigger hook. This is not a great example, but this I just have sitting here on the table. This is a Z-Man Mag Shrooms weedless jig head. This guy comes with a 6/0 hook on it and a dual wire weed guard. Now you could throw a round ball jig head or something else like that. We'll pair them in. You are freaking late, dude. Hour and 16 minutes in. How are you doing tonight, man? So Justin, to answer your question, just rig it exposed, man. Let me get you an example here. Doesn't matter what you're throwing, but let's just say you happen to have the best bait on hand like I do. The Strike King Rage Tail Structure Bug. This is a standard 4-inch bait. And what you're going to do is just thread it like you would a swim bait, dude. And push it up on there. And guess what you got? It's not that different than if you rigged it Texas rig style. Only thing is, the hook is exposed and ready to get him. So the second that bass comes to take this off the bed, he's going to try and grab the pinchers, and he might accidentally suck in the hook too. That is the whole point. You want to accidentally suck it in. No, you want to use a weighted jig head. So this is a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce Ned rig, but you could use a ball head jig or kind of like a shaky head, dude. You could use a shaky head and just not poke it back through. You just thread it straight on. So I'd put anywhere from an 1/8 ounce to a 1/4 ounce. Noah says, I wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think so what? On the bullet weight? No. That's just one more factor that's going to get in the way of you setting the hook properly. So most of the time when it comes to bed fishing, these fish are up shallow, like way shallow. I'm talking skinny water, couple feet. So you're just going to pitch it on there, and it's going to take a couple seconds to sink down onto the bed. And the fish will either be there and it's going to land right by them, or they're going to be slightly off the bed and see it land on the bed. They're going to come cruise over and check it out. If you have a bullet weight on there, you run the risk of blowing their mouth open before setting the hook. If you have it Texas rig, you run the risk of having to set too hard and them spitting it out quickly. Like I said, they're not trying to eat. They're just defensive and trying to get that bait off the bed. So they're going to try and eat the pinchers or appendages. So you don't want to throw a big old worm. So I'm generally not a fan of like a Senko unless it's something shorter, like a 4-inch, right? So that's why I say like a Nico rig on a 4-inch big TRD would be a pretty good idea. But you want to keep your weight as light as necessary, and the hook as exposed as possible. So anyway, Noah says I live in Alabama and fish Lewis, Smith Lake, and these bass are crazy. I hear you. Why do you say they're crazy? You ask. Do you know what I can do? It depends. Why do you say they're crazy? Because the lakes are pressured, or because they're unpredictable, or what do you mean by they're crazy? Let me explain why I got these specific drop shot weights real quick, because it's for a specific rig, a little bit of something I'm going to get into this year. So a normal drop shot weight is going to have not a line tie, but rather a deal where you thread your line through and clip it on, right? And it will snap into place so that when you get hung up, you can break the weight off and keep your rig. You'll keep the hook, keep your bait, and all you got to do is grab a new weight. This style here actually removes that. You tie a knot onto this line tie. There goes my bag. Hey, I might have to go get my charger, homies. Like my laptop is gonna die on me here in a minute. So if you don't mind waiting, let me know. I will run up and grab my charger. But this weight here is made for a lot of things, but used for a new technique called the free rig coming out of Japan. And it's just a little bit of a spin-off of a couple other techniques, and we will talk about that at another time. But what it does is you don't actually tie to that, but you thread your line through the line tie and then tie on your hook. And so you pitch it out there like you would a drop shot. The weight falls quickly to the bottom and your bait drifts down. Okay, it doesn't get pulled at the same speed as the weight like a standard drop shot would, and then you're just working with the distance of the leader. It essentially removes the leader and you get a leaderless drop shot. The free rig is what it's called, and I think it's going to catch on like wildfire here pretty soon. So anyway, let me get my charger if you guys don't mind. Colin's saying, love to use a cannonball drop shot for Ned fishing, bed fishing. Cannonball drop shot. I'm not even quite sure what that means, which I probably should. And Ray saying, one-on-one Will's box versus mine. Who has the most 6 cents? Owes the other a tackle gift card. Will Perriman, are you still in here on Instagram? Yay or nay? Yes, you are. Okay, you've been challenged by Ray over on YouTube. Kid Iraq. He says, do you have more 6 cents or does he? Whoever's got the most 6 cents owes the other a tackle gift card. Bags, clothing, hats, rod socks do apply. Will, do you think you have more 6 cents than Ray does? Or do you think he might have you beat? Colin, I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll be right back. I got to get my charger, homies.